The glamour and the strain. The mansion was alive with anticipation. The night's gala was set to be the most extravagant party Evelyn LeClair had ever thrown. As the city's elite arrived in their sleek cars, photographers lined the gates, capturing flashes of gowns that glistened under the twilight sky. The grounds were illuminated by soft, golden fairy lights, casting a warm glow over the manicured lawns. For the fashion world, this was more than a social gathering, it was an event that solidified Evelyn's status as a tastemaker and power broker. But beneath the luxury and the veneer of flawless wealth, cracks were beginning to show. Maya stood in the servants' hallway, watching through a sliver of the kitchen door as Evelyn greeted her guests with effortless charm. It was an art she'd mastered, each smile choreographed, every laugh perfectly timed. But Maya had worked in the mansion long enough to notice the tightness in Evelyn's jaw, the slight tremor in her hands that she hid by clutching a jeweled clutch bag. Chloe hurried past Maya, balancing a tray of delicate hors d'oeuvres. "Daydream on your own time," she hissed, shifting the tray with a practiced movement. But Maya didn't need to be told twice. Tonight was different, and the air crackled with attention she couldn't ignore. Even the head chef, usually gruff and focused, had muttered curses under his breath more than usual as the kitchen worked furiously to keep up with Evelyn's demands. Back in the drawing room, Evelyn was a vision of timeless elegance, her dress a deep emerald silk that accentuated her striking features. The guests flocked around her, vying for her attention as she spoke with a practiced lilt. She glanced at her reflection in the gilded mirror, catching sight of the diamond necklace that lay across her collarbone, its facets throwing small rainbows onto her skin. The necklace was more than an heirloom, it was a promise of security, an illusion of power. Tonight, more than ever, she needed that illusion. Elena, ever the silent observer, stood at the edge of the room, eyes scanning the crowd as she kept Evelyn's schedule running seamlessly. She'd been Evelyn's assistant long enough to understand what the necklace symbolized. It was Evelyn's way of warding off the wolves she feared would soon be at her door. Rumors of her dwindling fortune had started to circulate, whispers that her empire was crumbling beneath her feet. But Evelyn, in true LeClair fashion, refused to let the vultures sense weakness. Chloe emerged from the kitchen, wiping a bead of sweat from her brow and shooting a look at Elena. The two women exchanged a knowing glance, a silent conversation. They'd been around Evelyn long enough to see past the glamour. Tonight, Chloe had already overheard snippets of conversations about venture deals gone south and creditors calling during odd hours. And the sight of Evelyn's smile, stretched thin over desperation, only confirmed the truth they all suspected but dared not speak. Evelyn was playing a dangerous game, teetering on the edge. Maya's heart thumped as she refilled champagne glasses, stealing glances at the guests and Evelyn, who floated from conversation to conversation. She couldn't help but admire her boss's poise, even if she knew it was a mask. The stories the staff shared in the break room, hushed whispers of late-night fights with lawyers and the once unthinkable budget cuts, had turned into tales of sympathy and awe. It was a dance, this performance Evelyn put on, one she could no longer sustain alone. As the night deepened, Evelyn clapped her hands, drawing the attention of the room. The music softened, and the chatter subsided into an expectant silence. "My friends," Evelyn began, her voice warm and authoritative, "tonight, we gather not just to celebrate fashion and friendship but to celebrate resilience, beauty, and history." She tilted her head, letting the chandelier's glow catch on the diamond necklace. Gasps of admiration rippled through the crowd. Maya's fingers tightened on the tray she was holding. She noticed how Evelyn's gaze flickered, how she seemed to momentarily falter before continuing, "This piece you see here is more than a necklace. It's a testament to generations of strength, a symbol of perseverance." She allowed the guests a closer look, holding the necklace with an almost reverent touch. "And tonight, I share it with you, not as a display of wealth, but as a reminder of what it means to rise above adversity." The applause was immediate and enthusiastic, echoing throughout the hall. But to the few who knew Evelyn well, it was clear her eyes held something darker, a glimmer of desperation wrapped in hope. Maya turned away before Evelyn's eyes could meet hers, a flush of shame creeping up her neck. She shouldn't feel envy or anger, she told herself. But it was hard not to, knowing the necklace Evelyn held up as a symbol of triumph could solve all her problems with one sale. The rest of the night unfolded in a blur of chatter, clinking glasses, and laughter that didn't quite reach Evelyn's eyes. Chloe returned to the kitchen, her shoulders stiff with exhaustion. As she stirred the last pot of soup, she thought of her brother's medical bills, how each month the sum grew and her hope dwindled. Elena took a moment to breathe, sinking into a chair in Evelyn's office after being on her feet for hours. She stared at the desk where stacks of papers lay, contracts and unpaid invoices hidden beneath polished leather-bound folders. As the final guests departed and the mansion quieted, the three women found themselves in the staff lounge. They sipped lukewarm tea and listened to the muffled hum of the late-night city beyond the mansion walls. "It's all for show," Chloe muttered, breaking the silence. "That necklace, the parties. It's just smoke and mirrors." Elena nodded, eyes far away. "She's holding on by a thread. I saw it in her eyes tonight." Maya traced the edge of her cup, the idea that had been forming in her mind during the evening now refusing to be ignored. If she's that desperate, why is she flaunting that necklace? "You heard her speech. She said it's worth millions." Chloe raised an eyebrow. "You think she'd sell it if it came down to it?" "Maybe she's holding onto it as a last resort," Elena said, her tone cautious. "If things get bad enough." Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. "Or maybe someone else should take it first." The room went silent, each of them feeling the weight of those words. The necklace, so far out of reach, was suddenly closer than it had ever been. And with it, the possibility of freedom, at a cost none of them fully understood yet. Elena closed her eyes, the image of Evelyn's forced smile seared into her mind. Chloe stared into her cup, as if the swirling liquid could show her a future free of burden. And Maya, the one who had dared to speak aloud what they were all thinking, felt her heart race with both fear and resolve. The mansion, still glowing faintly from the lights of the party, now seemed to hum with a different energy. One that promised change, whether for better or worse. The necklace and the secret it hides. The grand ballroom glittered with opulence, the air heavy with the scent of champagne and floral arrangements imported from halfway across the globe. Evelyn LeClair moved through the crowd like a queen, her emerald dress sweeping the floor as she greeted her guests. Each word she spoke carried an aura of command, her laughter a perfectly measured melody that left those around her entranced. Yet, as the spotlight followed her, it was not Evelyn herself who captured the room's attention, but the exquisite diamond necklace resting against her collarbone. The necklace was a masterpiece. Each diamond was flawless, their clarity and size unmatched, strung together in a design that radiated timeless elegance. It was more than a piece of jewelry, it was a statement of wealth and power, a symbol of everything Evelyn claimed to be. Maya hovered near the edge of the room, holding an empty tray, her uniform a stark contrast to the finery around her. Her eyes were drawn to the necklace, its brilliance captivating her even from across the room. Like most of the staff, Maya had heard the stories. The necklace was an heirloom, passed down through generations of the LeClair family, and valued at a fortune. Yet, the idea that one piece of jewelry could be worth more than everything Maya had ever owned felt surreal. "Stop gawking," Chloe muttered as she passed by, balancing a tray of hors d'oeuvres. "It's just a necklace." "It's not just a necklace," Maya replied under her breath. "It's everything." Chloe rolled her eyes but said nothing, disappearing into the sea of guests. Elena, standing near the back of the room with a clipboard in hand, observed Evelyn closely. As her personal assistant, Elena had seen every side of her boss, the charm, the brilliance, and the cracks that Evelyn worked so hard to conceal. Tonight, Evelyn seemed more radiant than ever, but Elena noticed the telltale signs of strain, the slight tremor in her hands, the way her smile faltered for a split second when she thought no one was watching. Evelyn clapped her hands, her voice carrying over the chatter. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I may have your attention." The room quieted instantly. Evelyn stepped forward, the chandelier's light catching the diamonds and sending shards of rainbow across the walls. Thank you all for being here tonight. As you know, this is not just a celebration of fashion and art, but a celebration of resilience. She gestured to the necklace, her fingers brushing the diamonds as if drawing strength from them. This necklace, she continued, is more than an heirloom. It is a testament to my family's legacy, a symbol of perseverance and triumph. Each stone tells a story of overcoming adversity. Her voice softened, and for a moment, it felt as though she was speaking not to the crowd, but to herself. And it reminds us that no matter how difficult life becomes, there is always a way forward. The applause was immediate, thunderous, echoing through the ballroom. Evelyn's smile returned, radiant and triumphant, though Elena noticed the tension in her shoulders hadn't eased. As the party resumed, Evelyn moved through the crowd, shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries. Maya followed her with her gaze, intrigued by the way Evelyn carried herself, as though the necklace were a shield protecting her from the world. Later that evening, Maya found herself lingering near the powder room, a tray of glasses in hand. She froze when she heard Evelyn's voice from inside, low and tense. It's my only option, Evelyn was saying. If I sell it, I can settle the debts. But you don't understand, selling it means admitting failure. It means losing everything. A second voice responded, one Maya didn't recognize. Evelyn, the creditors won't wait forever. You can't keep pretending everything's fine. I know. Evelyn's voice broke slightly, and Maya heard her take a deep breath. But the second they know I'm struggling, the wolves will descend. This necklace is the last card I have to play, and I need to make sure it counts. Maya's mind raced as she processed the conversation. Evelyn's facade of wealth and power was just that, a facade. The necklace, which had seemed like an untouchable treasure, was not just a symbol of her legacy, but her lifeline. When Evelyn and her companion left the powder room, Maya quickly ducked out of sight, her heart pounding. She returned to the kitchen, where Chloe was scrubbing dishes and muttering about how rich people couldn't be bothered to eat the canapés they insisted on serving. Chloe, Maya whispered urgently, pulling her aside. What is it now? Chloe asked, annoyed. I heard Evelyn talking about the necklace, Maya said. She's thinking about selling it. She's in trouble, Chloe. Big trouble. Chloe raised an eyebrow. And why should we care? It's not like she'll share the profits with us. You don't get it, Maya said. That necklace could solve everything for her and for us. Chloe frowned. What are you talking about? If we took it, Chloe cut her off. Are you insane? Do you have any idea what she'd do to us if we got caught? Maya looked around to make sure no one was listening, then lowered her voice. She wouldn't report it. Think about it, if the necklace goes missing, she can claim the insurance money. She gets what she needs without admitting she's broke. And we. She trailed off, letting the implication hang in the air. Chloe stared at her, a mix of disbelief and intrigue crossing her face. You're actually serious? Elena entered the kitchen, her clipboard tucked under her arm. What's going on? Maya hesitated, then decided to tell Elena everything she'd overheard. As she spoke, Elena's expression shifted from skepticism to contemplation. When Maya finished, Elena sighed. You're playing with fire. If we go through with this, there's no turning back. I know, Maya said. But think about it, Elena. This could be our chance to get out. To start over. For a long moment, none of them spoke. The weight of the idea settled over them, heavy and unrelenting. The necklace, once a distant and untouchable object, now felt tantalizingly within reach. Finally, Elena spoke. If we're going to do this, we need a plan. Chloe groaned. I can't believe I'm agreeing to this. Maya's heart raced with a mix of fear and excitement. We can do this, she said, more to herself than to the others. The three women stood in the quiet kitchen, the sounds of the party fading into the background. The necklace had become more than a piece of jewelry, it was a key, a lifeline, a ticket to freedom. And for better or worse, they were about to risk everything to take it. The conspiracy the party had wound down, leaving the mansion quieter but no less charged with tension. The gilded walls seemed to hold on to the echoes of laughter and clinking glasses, even as the last of the guests departed. Evelyn LeClair, exhausted but resolute, retreated to her private chambers, her diamond necklace still gleaming against her skin. Meanwhile, in the dimly lit kitchen, three women sat around a scratched wooden table, their faces illuminated by the pale glow of a single overhead bulb. The room, once filled with the chaos of the evening's service, was now silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. Maya leaned forward, her elbows on the table, her voice low but insistent. "We have to do this. It's not just about the necklace, it's about survival. For all of us." Chloe crossed her arms, her expression skeptical. "You're talking about stealing from the most powerful woman in the city. If she finds out it's us, she'll ruin us." "She won't find out," Maya said quickly. "Think about it, Chloe. She's desperate. I overheard her saying she can't let anyone know she's struggling. If the necklace disappears, she'll file an insurance claim and use the payout to cover her debts. It's a win-win." Elena, seated between them, was silent. Her clipboard was still in her lap, though she'd long since stopped writing anything. Her sharp eyes, usually so quick to assess a situation, were clouded with doubt. "Even if you're right, Maya, this isn't just some petty theft. That necklace is her lifeline. If something goes wrong, we're done for." "Something's already wrong," Maya countered, her voice rising slightly. "Look at us. Chloe's drowning in her brother's medical bills. You're stuck in this house 24/7, putting out fires for a woman who doesn't even appreciate you. And me? I'm one paycheck away from eviction. This is our chance to break free." Chloe glanced at Elena, her expression softening. "She's not wrong. We're all barely holding on. But, this? It's dangerous, Maya." "I know it's dangerous," Maya said. "But what's the alternative? Keep scraping by while Evelyn lives in her fantasy world, pretending she's untouchable? We deserve better." Elena sighed, rubbing her temples. "If we're going to even consider this, we need a plan. A real plan. No mistakes, no loose ends." Maya nodded, her determination hardening into resolve. "I've been thinking about that. We do it tomorrow night, after Evelyn leaves for her charity gala. She won't be back until late, and the security staff will be minimal. We just need to get into her safe, grab the necklace, and get out." "And how exactly are we supposed to get into her safe?" Chloe asked. "I've seen her enter the code before," Elena admitted reluctantly. "She's not as careful as she thinks she is. I don't know the exact combination, but I've got most of it. With a little trial and error, we can figure it out." Chloe leaned back, shaking her head. "This is insane." "It's a risk," Maya admitted. "But it's one worth taking. We split the necklace, sell the stones, and walk away with enough to change our lives. No one gets hurt, and Evelyn gets her insurance money. It's the cleanest way." For a moment, the three women sat in silence, the weight of the decision pressing down on them. Finally, Chloe spoke. "If we're doing this, we need to be smart. No fingerprints, no cameras, no evidence. We get in, get the necklace, and get out. Fast." Elena nodded, her pragmatic side taking over. "Agreed. And we stick to the plan. No improvising." Maya felt a spark of relief. "So, we're doing this." Chloe sighed. "Looks like we are. God help us." The next night the mansion was eerily quiet. Evelyn had left hours earlier, her emerald gown flowing behind her as she departed for the charity gala. The household staff had been dismissed early, leaving only a skeleton crew to maintain appearances. Maya, Chloe, and Elena gathered in the staff quarters, each of them dressed in dark clothing. Maya carried a small duffel bag containing gloves, a flashlight, and a set of tools. "Everyone ready?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Chloe nodded, though her jaw was clenched. "Let's get this over with." Elena led the way, her clipboard abandoned in favor of a small notepad where she'd jotted down Evelyn's safe code. The three women moved silently through the mansion, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpets. Evelyn's private office was locked, but Chloe produced a set of keys she'd swiped from the head of housekeeping. The door clicked open, revealing a room filled with polished wood, gold accents, and shelves lined with leather-bound books. The safe was hidden behind a large oil painting of Evelyn's late mother. Elena carefully slid the painting aside, revealing the sleek, modern safe embedded in the wall. "Here goes nothing," she muttered, punching in the numbers she'd memorized. The safe beeped in protest. "Try reversing the last 2 digits, Maya suggested, glancing nervously at the door. Elena adjusted the code and tried again. This time, the safe clicked open, its heavy door swinging outward to reveal its contents. Inside, the necklace lay nestled on a velvet cushion, its diamonds catching the faint light from the office's chandelier. For a moment, none of them moved, the weight of what they were about to do sinking in. "Take it," Chloe whispered, her voice tight. Maya reached in, her gloved fingers trembling slightly as she lifted the necklace from its resting place. It was heavier than she'd expected, the diamonds cold against her skin even through the gloves. "We've got it," she said, her voice a mix of awe and disbelief. Elena quickly closed the safe and slid the painting back into place. "Let's go. Now." They retraced their steps, each of them hyper-aware of every creak in the floorboards, every shadow that seemed to move in the corners of their vision. When they finally reached the staff quarters, Maya placed the necklace in the duffel bag, zipping it shut. "We did it," she said, a small smile breaking through her tension. Chloe exhaled, her shoulders relaxing for the first time all night. "Now what?" "We wait until morning," Elena said. "Then we split up and figure out how to sell it. One step at a time." As the three women sat in the dimly lit room, the gravity of their actions began to sink in. They had crossed a line, one they could never uncross. The necklace, so beautiful and seemingly untouchable, was now in their hands. But as they stared at the duffel bag, none of them could shake the feeling that their plan, so carefully constructed, had set something larger in motion. Something they could no longer control. The heist. The stillness of Evelyn LeClair's mansion was deceptive, as if the house itself were holding its breath. In the darkness, Maya, Chloe, and Elena moved with purpose, their every step measured and deliberate. The tension between them was palpable, but their shared desperation kept them moving forward. Maya clutched the duffel bag tightly as they made their way to Evelyn's office, each woman acutely aware of the mansion's high-tech security system. Cameras dotted the hallways, their red recording lights like unblinking eyes. Maya had memorized the system's blind spots, directing the group through corridors where the cameras wouldn't catch them. "Stay close," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. Chloe gritted her teeth, holding a device she'd borrowed from her tech-savvy cousin. It emitted a signal to temporarily jam the camera's feed, giving them a few precious minutes of cover. "This better work," she muttered, pressing the button. Elena, clipboard replaced by a crowbar for emergencies, was visibly tense. Her usually sharp demeanor had given way to a quiet nervousness. "Let's just hope the guards don't decide to do a random patrol," she said under her breath. The group reached Evelyn's office without incident, Chloe unlocking the door with the pilfered keys. They slipped inside, closing the door softly behind them. "All right, Elena, it's all you," Maya said. Elena moved to the painting of Evelyn's late mother, her hands trembling slightly as she slid it aside to reveal the safe. The sleek, metallic surface gleamed faintly in the moonlight filtering through the office's window. "I've got this," Elena said, punching in the numbers. The safe beeped, and she frowned. "Come on," Chloe hissed. "Relax," Elena snapped, re-entering the code. "It's reversed. I've got it." This time, the safe clicked open, its heavy door swinging outward. The necklace lay nestled on a velvet cushion, just as they had seen the night before. Its diamonds sparkled even in the faint light, a symbol of all their struggles and the freedom they hoped to buy with it. "Take it," Chloe whispered urgently, her eyes darting to the door. Maya stepped forward, slipping on her gloves before lifting the necklace. It was heavier than she'd expected, each diamond cold and smooth beneath her fingertips. For a moment, she couldn't help but admire its beauty. "Don't just stand there," Chloe hissed. Maya nodded, tucking the necklace into the duffel bag. Elena closed the safe and slid the painting back into place. "Let's move," she said. As they exited the office, the tension ratcheted up. The jamming device Chloe carried had a limited battery life, and they knew every second they lingered increased their chances of getting caught. They retraced their steps through the darkened mansion, their footsteps silent on the plush carpets. When they reached the staff quarters, Maya exhaled a shaky breath, her pulse racing. "We did it," she whispered, unzipping the bag to reveal their prize. The three women stared at the necklace, its brilliance almost surreal in the dim light of the room. For a moment, relief washed over them. The next morning, they met at Maya's tiny apartment to appraise their stolen prize. Chloe had called in a favor from a discreet jeweler she knew, someone who wouldn't ask questions. The jeweler, a wiry man in his 60s named Bernard, arrived with a leather toolkit and a magnifying glass. "You've got something interesting for me?" Bernard asked, his tone casual but curious. "Very," Maya said, handing him the necklace. "We need to know what it's worth." Bernard nodded, donning a pair of gloves before examining the necklace under a bright lamp. He worked silently, his brow furrowing as he inspected each diamond with his magnifying glass. The women watched him anxiously, their breaths held. After what felt like an eternity, Bernard set the necklace down and leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. "Well?" Chloe demanded. Bernard hesitated, then spoke. "This is a replica." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. "A what?" Maya asked, her voice barely a whisper. "A replica," Bernard repeated. "The diamonds are cubic zirconia, the metal is plated. It's well made, but it's not real." "That's impossible," Elena said, her voice sharp. "It's the LeClair necklace. It's been in Evelyn's family for generations." Bernard shrugged. "I don't know what to tell you. This piece is worth maybe a few $100, tops. Whoever made it wanted it to look convincing, but it's not the real thing." Chloe slammed her fist on the table. "Are you telling me we risked everything for a fake?" Maya's mind raced. "No. This doesn't make sense. Why would Evelyn wear a fake? Everyone at the party was staring at it. It's her symbol of power. Why would she replace it with a replica?" "Maybe she's more broke than we thought," Elena suggested bitterly. "Maybe she already sold the real one." Chloe shook her head. "No. She wouldn't risk anyone finding out. If word got out that the necklace was fake, her entire reputation would collapse." Bernard packed up his tools, sensing the rising tension. "I'd recommend returning this, ladies. It's not worth the trouble you're in." After Bernard left, the women sat in stunned silence. "We're screwed," Chloe muttered. "All of that planning, all of that risk, and for what? A cheap knockoff." Maya clenched her fists, her mind churning. "No. There's something we're missing. Evelyn wouldn't wear a fake unless she had no choice. This means the real necklace is somewhere else. Hidden." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Are you suggesting we go back?" Maya looked at her, her eyes blazing with determination. We didn't come this far to walk away empty-handed. If the real necklace is still in that house, we're going to find it. Chloe groaned. You're insane. Maybe, Maya admitted. But this isn't over. Not yet. As the sun set, the three women began preparing for their second heist, their desperation outweighing their fear. Evelyn's mansion loomed large in their minds, its secrets still buried within its walls. And somewhere in the shadows of that opulent estate, the real necklace awaited along with the dangerous truths it carried. The revelation that the necklace was a fake left Maya, Chloe, and Elena reeling. Sitting in the cramped living room of Maya's apartment, the trio pored over the implications, their anger and confusion mingling with a growing sense of dread. It doesn't make sense, Chloe said, pacing the room. Evelyn LeClair, the queen of high society, wearing a knockoff? Why would she do that? She must have a reason, Maya said, her voice firm. People like Evelyn don't just downgrade for no reason. That necklace isn't just jewelry to her, it's a symbol. A weapon. If she's using a fake, something bigger is going on. Elena, who had been quietly scrolling through articles on her phone, suddenly cleared her throat. Maybe we should stop guessing and start digging. If Evelyn's hiding something, there has to be a trail. Financial records, gossip columns, something. Maya nodded. Good idea. Start with anything that mentions the LeClair name. Chloe, can you reach out to that cousin of yours again? If he can jam security feeds, maybe he can help us dig into Evelyn's accounts. Chloe frowned. That's risky. If he finds out what we're up to, he won't, Maya interrupted. Just tell him you're curious about Evelyn's empire. Frame it like a harmless favor. Chloe hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Fine. But if this blows up in our faces, it's on you. The first clue the next day, Elena struck gold, or rather, she uncovered the first crack in Evelyn's carefully constructed facade. A deep dive into society blogs and financial reports revealed a pattern of erratic behavior. Evelyn had been quietly selling off assets over the past year, a summer home in the Hamptons, a rare art collection, and even a stake in a family-owned winery. Elena, you're a genius, Maya said as she scanned the articles. This has to be it. Evelyn's selling off pieces of her empire, but she's keeping it quiet to avoid raising suspicion. But why? Chloe asked, leaning over Maya's shoulder. What's she doing with all that money? Elena scrolled further, her finger pausing on a headline. LeClair Enterprises faces rumors of bankruptcy amid declining revenue. That's why, Elena said grimly, pointing to the screen. Her empire is crumbling. She's been keeping up appearances, but the foundation is rotten. She's probably drowning in debt. Maya's mind raced. This explains the fake necklace. She must have sold the real one to cover her losses and replaced it with a replica to keep up the illusion. Which means the real necklace is long gone, Chloe said, slumping onto the couch. We've been chasing a ghost. Not necessarily, Maya countered. If she sold it, there's a record somewhere. A buyer, a transaction. We just have to find it. A web of lies. Chloe's cousin came through with more damning evidence. Evelyn had taken out massive loans from several shadowy lenders over the past 5 years. The payments were overdue, and the interest was skyrocketing. One lender, in particular, stood out, a private financier known for dealing with desperate clients. Whoever this guy is, Chloe said, pointing to the name in the report, he's bad news. Evelyn's been making payments to him for months, but it's nowhere near enough to cover what she owes. Maya's eyes narrowed. What happens if she can't pay? Elena snorted. You've seen the movies. This isn't a bank we're talking about. If she defaults, they won't just take her mansion, they'll ruin her. Publicly, privately, completely. Maya leaned back, her mind spinning. This explains everything. Evelyn's been living on borrowed time, juggling loans and illusions to keep herself afloat. The fake necklace, the asset sales, it's all part of her act. But there's one thing we still don't know, where's the real necklace? Elena frowned. If she sold it to one of these lenders, it's probably long gone. Not if she kept it as collateral, Chloe interjected. If it's valuable enough, they'd hold onto it as leverage. That way, she'd have no choice but to keep paying. Maya's eyes lit up. Then that's where we start. We find this lender, figure out if he has the necklace, and take it back. The confrontation. Their investigation led them to a man named Victor Sloane, a financier with a reputation for ruthless tactics. Victor's office was in a nondescript building on the outskirts of the city, a stark contrast to the opulence Evelyn surrounded herself with. The trio arrived under the guise of potential clients, dressed in borrowed business attire and armed with fake names. Maya took the lead, her confidence masking the anxiety bubbling beneath the surface. Victor was a tall, imposing man with a sharp suit and an even sharper gaze. He greeted them with a thin smile, his eyes betraying his skepticism. "Ladies, what can I do for you?" "We're looking for a specific asset," Maya said smoothly. "A piece of jewelry that was once owned by Evelyn LeClair. A diamond necklace, to be precise." Victor's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Evelyn LeClair? Now there's a name I haven't heard in a while." "We know she's done business with you," Chloe said, her tone icy. "And we know the necklace was part of the deal." Victor chuckled, leaning back in his chair. "You're bold. I'll give you that. But I'm afraid you've been misinformed. Evelyn's debts are her business, not mine." Maya pressed on, refusing to back down. "We're not leaving until you tell us where it is. You want to protect your reputation, don't you? Imagine what would happen if people found out you were holding stolen goods." Victor's smile disappeared, replaced by a steely glare. "You've got guts, I'll give you that. But let me give you some advice, walk away while you still can. Evelyn's problems are bigger than you realize, and if you keep digging, you'll find yourself buried alongside her." The warning sent a chill through the room, but Maya refused to let it show. She stood, motioning for the others to follow. "We'll see ourselves out." The final piece. Victor's reaction confirmed their suspicions, the necklace was still in play. Determined to find it, the trio decided to stake out his office, hoping to catch a glimpse of the evidence they needed. Their patience paid off when they saw Victor meeting with Evelyn herself late one evening. From their hiding spot, they watched as Evelyn handed over a briefcase, her expression strained. "He's got it," Maya whispered. Now all they had to do was figure out how to get it back. As the trio plotted their next move, they couldn't help but marvel at the tangled web Evelyn had woven to maintain her empire. Her life, once a symbol of unattainable wealth and power, was now a crumbling facade, held together by lies, desperation, and a single diamond necklace. For Maya, Chloe, and Elena, the revelation was bittersweet. They had set out to steal the necklace for their own survival, but now they found themselves entangled in Evelyn's story, their fates inextricably linked to hers. And as the shadows deepened, one thing became clear: the real heist was only just beginning. The confrontation came faster than any of them expected. Maya, Chloe, and Elena were sitting in Maya's apartment, a bottle of cheap wine on the table as they debated their next steps. The atmosphere was tense but charged with purpose. They were close to uncovering the truth about Evelyn's finances and, hopefully, reclaiming the necklace. Then, a sharp knock at the door shattered the moment. Maya froze. "Were you expecting anyone?" Chloe shook her head, her expression mirroring Maya's unease. Elena grabbed a kitchen knife, holding it behind her back as Maya cautiously opened the door. Standing on the threshold was Evelyn LeClair, flanked by two imposing bodyguards. Her impeccable white blazer and diamond earrings gleamed in the dim hallway light, a stark contrast to her cold, unflinching stare. "Good evening, ladies," Evelyn said, her voice calm but steely. May I come in? Maya's mind raced. Denying Evelyn entry would only confirm her guilt, but letting her in felt like walking into a trap. Before she could respond, Evelyn stepped inside, her bodyguards taking position by the door. I must say, Evelyn continued, her tone dripping with disdain, you've been quite resourceful. Digging into my affairs, intercepting private meetings, and, of course, the little stunt you pulled at my mansion. Chloe's face paled. We don't know what you're talking about. Evelyn arched an eyebrow. Don't insult me. I've known for days. The moment you walked out with that replica, I knew someone had been in my office. The room fell silent. Maya glanced at Chloe and Elena, their expressions betraying a mix of fear and defiance. So, Evelyn said, taking a seat as if she owned the apartment, here we are. You could turn yourselves in and pray for leniency or, and this is my personal preference, we could talk. Talk? Elena asked, her voice laced with skepticism. Evelyn's lips curled into a thin smile. Yes. About how we can help each other. Evelyn's proposition. The three women stared at her in stunned silence. You want our help? Maya finally asked, her voice incredulous. Not want, Evelyn corrected. Need. You see, my empire is not what it used to be. A fact you've no doubt discovered by now. Elena smirked. Yet, we noticed. Evelyn's gaze hardened. Watch your tone. You have no idea what it's like to keep a business afloat while vultures circle overhead. The loans, the fake necklace, none of it was by choice. It was survival. Chloe folded her arms. And what does that have to do with us? Evelyn leaned forward, her sharp eyes scanning each of them. Because you're bold. Reckless, yes, but capable. You managed to bypass my security, uncover details even my competitors don't know, and track down Victor Sloane without getting yourselves killed. That kind of resourcefulness is rare. Maya narrowed her eyes. What are you offering? Evelyn's smile returned. A partnership. Help me rebuild my brand, and I'll cut you in on the profits. 10% each. Chloe scoffed. You think 10% is going to cover the risks we'd be taking? Evelyn shrugged. If you succeed, 10% will be more than you've ever seen in your lives. If you fail, well, let's just say you'll have bigger problems than money. The terms of the deal. The women retreated to the kitchen, leaving Evelyn seated like a queen on her makeshift throne. She's bluffing, Chloe whispered. She's desperate, and she knows it. Maybe, Maya replied. But she's also right. If we can pull this off, we'll never have to worry about money again. And if we can't? Elena asked. Maya hesitated. Then we're already in too deep to back out. When they returned, Evelyn was sipping a glass of wine she'd poured herself, her composure unshaken. Fine, Maya said. We'll help you. But we have conditions. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. Do tell. 20% each, Maya said firmly. And we get the real necklace back. Evelyn chuckled. The necklace? Why does everyone fixate on that thing? Fine. It's collateral with Victor Sloane, but I can get it back if you prove yourselves useful. And if you double-cross us? Chloe added. Evelyn's smile turned icy. Then you'd better hope you're better at this game than I am. The plan. Evelyn laid out the details over the next hour, her commanding presence turning the tiny apartment into an impromptu war room. Her plan was simple in concept but daunting in execution. 1. Reclaim the necklace. To regain credibility, Evelyn needed the real necklace. She instructed the women to retrieve it from Victor Sloane's vault, a job requiring both finesse and brute force. 2. Rebuild the brand. With the necklace as a symbol, Evelyn would stage a public comeback, hosting a lavish charity gala to remind the elite of her power and influence. The women would help her curate the guest list, manage logistics, and ensure the event was flawless. 3. Eliminate the debt. Using funds raised at the gala, Evelyn planned to pay off her most dangerous creditors, buying herself time to stabilize her finances. The execution the heist was the first hurdle. Armed with the knowledge they'd gathered on Victor's operations, the trio infiltrated his office building under the cover of darkness. Evelyn's resources provided them with top-tier equipment, lock-picking tools, disguises, and even a forged access card. Tensions ran high as they navigated the labyrinth of security measures, but their determination kept them focused. After hours of nerve-wracking effort, they retrieved the necklace from a hidden safe in Victor's private office. "Got it," Maya whispered, holding up the glittering piece. "Let's get out of here," Chloe said, her heart pounding. They barely escaped before Victor's security team discovered the breach, their adrenaline carrying them back to Evelyn's waiting car. The gala with the necklace in hand, the focus shifted to the gala. Evelyn worked tirelessly, her sharp eye for detail and years of experience coming into play. The women were pushed to their limits, handling everything from seating arrangements to last-minute wardrobe malfunctions. The night of the event, Evelyn unveiled the real necklace with calculated flair, wearing it as the centerpiece of her ensemble. The crowd buzzed with admiration, and whispers of Evelyn's resurgence spread like wildfire. Maya, Chloe, and Elena watched from the sidelines, their exhaustion mingling with pride. "We did it," Elena said, sipping champagne. "Let's hope it's enough," Chloe replied. The aftermath: the gala was a resounding success, raising millions and silencing Evelyn's critics. True to her word, she transferred their share of the profits and returned to the women with a surprising offer: permanent roles in her operation. "I could use people like you," Evelyn said, her tone almost warm. "What do you say?" Maya exchanged glances with Chloe and Elena. They had started this journey out of desperation, but now they faced a choice: return to their ordinary lives or embrace a new, dangerous path alongside Evelyn LeClair. The decision, like the heist, would change their lives forever. The decision lingered over the trio like a storm cloud. Evelyn's offer promised security, power, and wealth, but it also carried danger, manipulation, and a moral ambiguity none of them could ignore. Maya, Chloe, and Elena sat in their usual spot in Maya's apartment, their newfound riches resting in a bank account they hadn't dared to touch yet. The necklace lay on the table between them, its diamonds catching the dim light. "We said we wanted out of this life," Chloe said, swirling a glass of wine. "Now she's asking us to jump right back in." "But this isn't the same," Elena argued. "It's not small-time jobs or barely scraping by. This is opportunity. Real money, real power." "It's also Evelyn," Maya said. "We'd be working for someone who lied, cheated, and manipulated her way to the top and then dragged us into her mess." "She didn't drag us," Chloe countered. "We made our choices. And if we're being honest, she kept her word. She gave us our cut, and we got the necklace back." Elena sighed. "So, what's the alternative? We walk away and pretend this never happened? Go back to living paycheck to paycheck?" Maya leaned back, her gaze fixed on the necklace. "I don't know. I don't trust her." "Do we trust each other?" Chloe asked, her voice softer now. That question hung in the air, heavier than the diamonds on the table. A meeting with Evelyn the next day, they met Evelyn at her penthouse. It was their first time seeing her in her natural element, surrounded by marble floors, designer furniture, and a view of the city that stretched for miles. She greeted them with her usual cool confidence, but there was a glimmer of something else: relief, perhaps, or gratitude. "I take it you've discussed my proposal," Evelyn said, gesturing for them to sit. "We have," Maya replied, her tone guarded. "But we have conditions." Evelyn's lips twitched into a smile. "Of course you do. Let's hear them." Maya glanced at Chloe and Elena before speaking. "First, we're partners, not employees. Equal say in decisions. Second," Chloe added, "we want transparency. No more secrets, no more games. And third, Elena finished, we keep the necklace as collateral. Evelyn's smile widened, her gaze sharp with amusement. You drive a hard bargain. But fine partners, transparency, and the necklace. Agreed. Maya leaned forward. And if you double-cross us? Evelyn's expression hardened. Then you'll have the satisfaction of knowing you made the wrong choice. The first test. Their first task as Evelyn's partners was straightforward but critical, securing a lucrative deal with an up-and-coming tech mogul. Evelyn's empire needed fresh investments to rebuild, and this deal could be the linchpin. But it wasn't without complications. The mogul, Darren Cole, was known for his skepticism and his dislike of Evelyn. He thinks I'm a relic of old money, Evelyn explained during their briefing. That I have nothing to offer in the modern world. You'll convince him otherwise. How? Chloe asked, frowning. If he doesn't trust you, why would he trust us? Because you're not me, Evelyn replied. You're young, resourceful, and, frankly, less intimidating. Use that to your advantage. The trio spent days preparing, researching Darren's interests, his company, and his past ventures. When the meeting finally arrived, they walked into his sleek office with a confidence that masked their nerves. Darren was sharp, quick to question their credentials and their intentions. But Maya's charisma, Chloe's analytical mind, and Elena's quick thinking won him over. By the end of the meeting, they had secured not only his investment but also his respect. Back at the penthouse, Evelyn greeted them with rare warmth. Well done, she said, raising a glass of champagne. I knew I chose correctly. For the first time, the women felt a flicker of pride not just in what they had accomplished but in the fact that they had done it on their terms. A new reality. As the weeks passed, the trio found themselves drawn deeper into Evelyn's world. They attended high society events, negotiated deals, and managed crises, all while maintaining their bond. But the new reality wasn't without its challenges. Evelyn's demands were relentless. Late-night meetings, sudden changes in strategy, and her unyielding perfectionism pushed them to their limits. Tensions flared, particularly between Maya and Evelyn, whose leadership styles often clashed. You can't just steamroll people and expect them to fall in line, Maya snapped during one heated argument. And you can't lead by committee, Evelyn shot back. Decisiveness wins, not democracy. Chloe and Elena often found themselves playing peacemakers, but even they couldn't deny the results. Under their combined efforts, Evelyn's brand began to recover. The gala had been the first step, but their work cemented her return to prominence. The betrayal. Just when they thought they had found their footing, a betrayal rocked their fragile alliance. During a routine review of financial records, Elena discovered discrepancies, large sums of money disappearing into offshore accounts. At first, they thought it was an external threat. But as they dug deeper, they realized the truth. Evelyn had been siphoning funds for her own use, hiding it even from them. When they confronted her, Evelyn didn't deny it. You're naive if you think trust has any place in business, she said coldly. I gave you an opportunity. If you don't like how I run things, you're free to walk away. Maya's hands clenched into fists. This isn't just business, Evelyn. We risked everything for you. And you've been compensated, Evelyn replied, her voice icy. Don't mistake my generosity for weakness. The room erupted into chaos, accusations flying as years of distrust and resentment came to a head. By the end, it was clear, the partnership was over. The final decision. Back in the apartment, the trio weighed their options. They could expose Evelyn, take the necklace, and walk away, or they could try to salvage what remained of their alliance. She'll never change, Chloe said, her voice bitter. We're just pawns to her. But we're more than that, Maya argued. We've proven we can succeed. We don't need her. Elena hesitated. What if we play her game? Use her until we're strong enough to break away. Maya shook her head. No more games. We end this. Together. The next morning, they returned to the penthouse, the necklace hidden in Maya's bag. Evelyn greeted them with her usual cool demeanor, but her eyes flickered with suspicion. "We're done," Maya said simply. "We're taking our share and walking away." Evelyn's smile was razor-sharp. "You think you can survive without me?" "We know we can," Chloe replied. Evelyn's gaze shifted to the bag, realizing what was inside. "So that's it? You steal from me again and call it even?" "No," Elena said. "We're taking what's ours." For the first time, Evelyn seemed to falter. But she quickly regained her composure, her voice calm but laced with venom. "You'll regret this." "Maybe," Maya said, turning to leave. "But at least we'll be free." Epilogue months later, the trio sat in a sleek new office, overlooking the city. With the necklace sold and their share of Evelyn's profits, they had started their own venture, a consulting firm that specialized in solving high-stakes problems for wealthy clients. Evelyn's name still echoed in the headlines, but her empire was crumbling once again. The trio didn't celebrate her downfall, they simply moved forward, stronger and wiser. As they toasted to their future, Maya smiled. "We started this as thieves. Now, we're something more." Chloe smirked. "Illegitimate criminals." Elena laughed. "Here's to the next chapter." And with that, they closed the book on Evelyn LeClair, ready to write their own story.